Chapter 4, Episode 4, Historical Hijinks. As Sabrina and Noah stood outside the Hallowville Historical Society, they exchanged a look of disbelief. The once majestic Victorian mansion now looked like a mishmash of architectural styles, each vying for attention. Windows flickered in and out of existence, and the front door seemed to dance between being a solid wooden door and a twinkling portal. "Well, this is certainly not how I expected today to go," Sabrina said, her eyes scanning the chaotic facade. Her raven black hair with purple streaks caught the light, contrasting sharply with her vintage Gothic attire. Noah chuckled softly, his rugged features softening slightly as he surveyed the bizarre structure. "Just another day in Hallowville, right?" The hedgehog familiar chirped in agreement, its quills glowing faintly as it sniffed the air. Sabrina reached down to give it a gentle pat, feeling a surge of confidence from the little creature. "All right, let's see what we're dealing with," she said, taking a deep breath. With a wave of her hand, she dispelled the illusion hiding the true door. It materialized with a shimmer, inviting them to enter. Inside, the chaos was even more apparent. The entry hall had turned into a labyrinth of shifting rooms and corridors. As they stepped forward, the Victorian parlor transformed into a medieval great hall, complete with suits of armor and flickering torches. "I'm starting to feel like we're in some kind of twisted video game," Noah commented, his eyes scanning the ever-changing environment. "Where's the save point in this level?" Sabrina laughed, her vibrant green eyes sparkling with amusement. "Well, at least it keeps things interesting, and it certainly beats mundane routines." The hedgehog familiar led them through the maze, its keen senses helping them avoid the worst of the temporal distortions. As they navigated the shifting mansion, they gathered clues about the missing artifact. In one room, they found a display case filled with ancient relics, each shimmering with a faint magical aura. Sabrina approached cautiously, her fingers brushing against the glass. A sudden surge of energy pulsed through her, and the artifacts began to rattle. "Looks like these are more than just museum pieces," she murmured, her eyes scanning the labels. Noah leaned in, reading aloud. "Antique hourglass from the 17th century, said to control the flow of time. Magical compass that points to hidden places. That could be useful." Sabrina nodded, her sharp intellect already formulating a plan. "We'll need to keep these in mind, but first we need to find the scepter." They continued through the maze, encountering more bizarre and magical phenomena. In one hallway, they passed a row of statues that seemed to watch their every move, their stone eyes following them with unnerving intensity. In another, they stumbled upon a room filled with enchanted paintings that came to life as they walked by, figures stepping out of the frames to greet them. "This is getting weirder by the minute," Noah muttered, trying to avoid the reaching hands of a particularly animated portrait. "I prefer dealing with solid, tangible issues." Finally, they found themselves in a small, cramped office. The room was filled with towering stacks of paper, ancient filing cabinets, and dusty artifacts. The air was thick with the scent of old parchment and the faint hum of magic. "This place is a treasure trove," Sabrina murmured, running her fingers along the spines of old books and documents. Her love for antique bookstores made this discovery particularly thrilling. Noah nodded, his eyes scanning the cluttered space. "Let's see if we can find anything useful." They began to search the room, their movements synchronized by years of practice. Sabrina pulled open an old filing cabinet, the drawer groaning in protest. Inside, she found stacks of yellowed maps and documents. "Bingo," she said, pulling out a brittle piece of parchment. She unfolded it carefully, revealing a detailed map of Hallowville. At the center of the map was a large, circular garden hidden in what was now the heart of the forest park. "A secret, magical garden," Sabrina breathed, her finger tracing the intricate design. This must be where the scepter came from originally. As they exited the building, they noticed flowers and trees growing at an alarming rate. The once neat lawn had turned into a chaotic jungle, with vines creeping up the walls and flowers sprouting from every crack. "This can't be good," Noah muttered, his eyes scanning the overgrown landscape. His determination to protect the town was evident in his voice. Sabrina nodded, her expression serious. "We need to figure out what's causing this and stop it, and we need to do it fast." Sabrina and Noah decided to split up to cover more ground. Sabrina headed towards the town square, her heart pounding with anticipation. The square was a riot of color and chaos, with oversized plants and flowers creating a surreal landscape. As she walked through the jungle-like growth, Sabrina encountered unusual magical phenomena. Flowers that glowed with an inner light, vines that slithered like snakes, and trees that seemed to whisper ancient secrets. The hedgehog familiar chirped softly, leading her towards the ley line intersections. Sabrina felt the pulse of magical energy beneath her feet, growing stronger with each step. "This is definitely the source," she murmured, her eyes narrowing as she scanned the pulsing energy. But why is it so unstable? A sudden gust of wind blew past her, carrying with it the scent of spring and the faintest hint of rotting vegetation. Sabrina wrinkled her nose, a sense of unease washing over her. Meanwhile, Noah had been busy investigating other parts of town. The rapid growth wasn't confined to the square. It seemed to be affecting the entire town. Trees were bursting through sidewalks, and flowers were sprouting from gutters. The whole town looked like it was being taken over by a botanical invasion. He made his way back to the sheriff's office, his mind racing with the implications of what he'd seen. As he entered, he found Sabrina already there, her expression a mix of concern and excitement. "You won't believe what I found," she said, her voice breathless. "And you won't believe what I saw," Noah replied, his eyes wide. They shared their findings, their words tumbling over each other in their eagerness. Sabrina explained the pulsing ley lines and the hidden garden, while Noah described the rampant growth and the town's transformation. "The ley lines are pulsing with unchecked magical energy," Sabrina said, her eyes filled with determination. "We need to find a way to stabilize them." Noah nodded, his gaze fixed on the map spread out before them. "And the garden, it's the key. We need to investigate it and find out what's causing this imbalance." Sabrina looked down at the hedgehog familiar, her expression serious. "We need to be prepared for anything. This garden could hold the answers we need, but it could also be dangerous." Noah reached out, taking her hand in his own. "Whatever comes next, we'll face it together." With renewed purpose, they gathered their supplies and prepared to investigate the secret magical garden indicated on the map. The fate of Hallowville rested on their shoulders, but with their combined strength and determination, they were ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As they set off towards the edge of town, where the forest began to encroach on the suburbs, neither Sabrina nor Noah noticed the shadow that detached itself from a nearby alley. It watched them go, eyes glowing with an eerie green light, before melting back into the rapidly growing foliage. The next phase of their adventure was about to begin, and the fate of Hallowville hung in the balance. The secret garden awaited, holding not just answers, but dangers beyond their wildest imaginations. This mystical place would test not only their abilities, but also the strength of their growing bond. As they walked deeper into the forest, the air around them grew thick with the scent of blooming flowers and the faint hum of magic. The hedgehog familiar's quills glowed brighter, seemingly responding to the intense magical energy. "This place is incredible," Sabrina whispered, her eyes wide with wonder. "I can feel the magic pulsing through everything." Noah nodded, his hand resting on his belt, ready to draw his weapon if needed. "Stay sharp. We don't know what we might encounter." The forest path led them to a clearing, where they found the entrance to the secret garden. The gate was adorned with intricate carvings of flowers and vines, and as they approached, it swung open silently, inviting them inside. Inside the garden, they found a magical paradise. Flowers of every color bloomed in profusion, and trees laden with fruit lined the pathways. In the center stood a magnificent fountain, its water sparkling with multicolored lights. "It's like a dream." Sabrina breathed, her eyes taking in the breathtaking sight. Noah nodded, his gaze scanning the garden for any signs of danger. "Beautiful, but we need to stay alert. This place is full of powerful magic." As they walked deeper into the garden, they began to notice strange occurrences. Flowers that seemed to move when they weren't looking, vines that appeared to be reaching out towards them, and the faint sound of laughter echoing through the air. "Do you hear that?" Sabrina asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Noah nodded, his hand tightening around hers. "We're not alone here." Suddenly, the hedgehog familiar's quills flared brightly, and it let out a warning chirp. Sabrina and Noah turned to see a cluster of glowing orbs floating towards them, each one emitting a soft, ethereal light. "What are those?" Sabrina whispered, her heart pounding in her chest. As the orbs drew closer, they began to take shape, transforming into human-like figures. They were dressed in flowing robes adorned with flowers and vines, and their eyes glowed with the same eerie light as the orbs. "Greetings, travelers," one of the figures said, their voice like the rustling of leaves. "We are the guardians of this garden. What brings you here?" Sabrina stepped forward, her voice steady despite her racing heart. "We are here to restore the balance of magic in Hallowville. The scepter that controls the equinox rituals has gone missing, and we believe it is connected to this place." The guardians exchanged glances, their eyes flickering with a mix of curiosity and concern. One of them stepped forward, their voice filled with urgency. "The scepter is indeed connected to this garden, but it has been stolen by a dark force seeking to disrupt the balance. We have been searching for a way to retrieve it, but our power is limited within these walls." Sabrina nodded, her determination growing stronger. "We will help you. Together we can restore the balance and protect Hallowville." The guardians nodded, their eyes gleaming with hope. "Very well. We will guide you to the heart of the garden, where the scepter's power is strongest. From there, you must find a way to track down the one who stole it and reclaim it for the good of all." With the guardians leading the way, Sabrina and Noah ventured deeper into the garden. The path became increasingly treacherous, with vines reaching out to trip them up, and flowers emitting bewitching scents designed to disorient them. But with the hedgehog familiar's keen senses guiding them, and their own unwavering determination, they pressed on. The garden seemed to test them at every turn, as if trying to gauge their worthiness. Finally, they reached the heart of the garden. The guardians stopped, their eyes filled with awe. "This is the center of our power," one of them said, their voice barely above a whisper. "Here, you may find the answers you seek." As they stepped forward, a sudden gust of wind swept through the garden, carrying with it a dark, ominous energy. The air turned cold, and the guardian's eyes widened in alarm. "He is here," one of them whispered, their voice filled with fear. "The one who stole the scepter. You must act quickly, or all will be lost." With renewed urgency, Sabrina and Noah prepared to face their greatest challenge yet. The fate of Hallowville hung in the balance, and they knew that they would have to give it their all to restore the magical equilibrium. As they braced themselves for the confrontation ahead, a chilling laugh echoed through the garden, sending a shiver down their spines. The battle for Hallowville's future was about to begin, and the stakes had never been higher. Just as Sabrina and Noah prepared to confront the dark force that had stolen the scepter, a chilling laugh echoed through the garden, sending a shiver down their spines. A shadowy figure emerged from the dense foliage, its eyes glowing with the same eerie green light they had seen before. "You are too late," the figure hissed, its voice dripping with malice. "The scepter is mine, and soon Hallowville will be as well." Sabrina stood her ground, her voice steady and resolute. "Not if we have anything to say about it." Noah drew his weapon, his eyes locked on the ominous figure. "We won't let you corrupt our town." The figure laughed again, a sound that seemed to reverberate through the very air. "Foolish mortals, you are no match for my power, but I will enjoy watching you try." With those words, the figure vanished into the shadows, leaving Sabrina and Noah to brace themselves for the battle that lay ahead. The fate of Hallowville was in their hands, and they knew that they would have to give it their all to protect their home and restore the magical balance.